It was a steady learning curve after that as far as figuring out exactly what Pompé's was. For the average person to tell them you have Pompé's, even my own family, they see me sitting in this wheelchair and they cannot comprehend why, first off, I'm even in the chair. I look fine. I look healthy. I look fine. Why don't I just stand up? When I was in my late teens, early 20s, the weaknesses that I noticed in relationship to my peers, I couldn't run as fast. I could outdistance any of them, but that was just simple determination. It wasn't drastic enough that you would put your finger on and say this person's disabled, but it was enough that I noticed it, and consequently, when I would do physical workouts or something, I would try and concentrate on those areas. But then as it progressed, then it got to where you couldn't even do those tasks, and then ultimately where you had to depend on someone else to take care of those tasks for you. I'm no different than anyone else in that you don't like to accept what's happening to you. So you may have initially some resistance to using some assistive device or another. But it doesn't take long to dawn on you that, hey, maybe my life would be better if I went ahead and used this assistive device and acclimated myself to it, because it will increase your functionality, not decrease it. My wife and I live in a two-story home, and as the muscle weakness progressed, it became increasingly difficult for me to get up and down the stairs.
As his lower back muscles got weaker, we could tell that he had to start using a cane, and it was a few months later that he had to start using 2 canes. All our bedrooms were upstairs in the bathroom, so he said, I think I can make it another year, and I said, yes, but I can't.
My wife had the wisdom and foresight to say that this situation can't go on. We have to change our living arrangement. We did remodel the whole downstairs, and it was a good thing that she pushed for that. You may not be mentally dealing with it or accepting the fact, so listen to those around you. If they're telling you something needs to happen, it probably needs to happen.
You have to take care of yourself first, because if you don't, you can't take care of them. So what I did was I joined an exercise class at the fitness center, and I went there just for an hour or two every morning, and I found that through that I released this tension, and that really helped me, and then I could deal with the things that were happening to him.
But I wasn't able to get a hold of Bill, so I'm only assuming that he's up there. Anybody who has needs, special needs, or has any sort of disability, you have to advocate for yourself. Because if you won't fight for yourself, other people are not as inclined, even though they are of a good nature, they're not as inclined to fight for someone who's not willing to fight for themselves. If you want to get something done, even though you're physically limited, you better put every ounce of effort that you have, or every resource that you can muster, into getting that done.
You got your hat.
Yeah, I know it.
Huh?
I know it. The emotions that are involved are really personal. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody involved.
I get up in the morning and we're here. That's a joy in itself. I mean, none of us have, I don't care who you are, none of us can say, well, tomorrow we're going to be alive. We're just thankful we're here. And like I said, live each day as it comes.
Internal fortitude plays a big role in anyone's survival. I don't care if it's Pompé's or, the will to live cannot be discounted. But typically, a will to live cannot be maintained for any length of time if there isn't a reason to live. My reason to live is really emotional for me to put into words, but it's my wife, Betty.
It's an unconditional love that, you know, not everybody has, that keeps us, you know, together and working together, that, you know, in a relationship, no matter what it is that you have.
Even though it's always been my favorite thing to think only of myself, it doesn't sustain you through a lot of hard times. You got to have someone else that you care about or love.
I was 25 when I was diagnosed with Pompé. Back in 2003, I had my first muscle biopsy, and that's when they determined that I had some type of muscle condition. And in the total of a year and a half, I've had 3 muscle biopsies, and then my final biopsy was when they determined that I had Pompé.
Before Pompé, they thought it was a disease called polymyositis.
When I told my husband for the first time, we both were very emotional because when I found out, he wasn't here. He was overseas, so I was by myself.
Ready to go, Mama? Ready to go?
The way we do things is like we talk over everything. I mean, we don't hide anything.
If your communication is lost, and you don't talk about it, it's just gonna start wearing on you. It's gonna wear on you mentally, physically, but you, like I said, you have to keep that line open.
Of course, I was emotional. I'm always emotional about everything. He's always the one that says, "Hey, don't worry, I'm gonna handle it." Well, this one he felt like he couldn't handle. You wanna get on the swing?
I think about the disorder at times, but I have to continue. I'm here for Lucida, and I have to be here for her. That's what I'm thinking about.
He's been supportive. He's been behind me. My mom, dad, brother, his family, everybody is always calling, checking, seeing how I'm doing, and if we need anything, they're always there.
Say hey, Mama. Say hey, Mama. Before we knew that she had Pompé, at first I was like, this girl is clumsy. She can't, she's falling, and she can't get up by herself. And when she started like complaining, about pains and stuff, and I was like, it's something more serious than that. So, yeah. Lucida, she sleeps at night. She sleeps on a BiPAP machine. It's whereas her lungs are not getting enough oxygen. At first, she was waking up with headaches, and she had a sleep study, and they found out that she needed this BiPAP machine to help her.
My oxygen was so low at night, I was waking up continuously, and I wasn't getting my full, rest. The fact of having a mask on my face, when I first got on the BiPAP machine, I told my husband, I feel like I'm suffocating, I'm like totally freaking out.
I call the machine the Darth Vader machine.